everyone, welcome. I'm Laura Rogers and this is SharePoint Power Hour. This is my weekly show where I go over just all kinds of things in SharePoint and Office 365 out of the box. Pretty much there are a million different topics that you can talk about in SharePoint, and we go over, just demo something for an hour every week, or have conversations about things and kick things back and forth. We've been doing this we'll probably have about 200 episodes at this point, and I've been doing this for 2 or 3 years. And basically I'm just going to be, demoing different topics. It's every Wednesday at 11 Central. I broadcast live. We have a little bit of housekeeping. We have a Slack channel that we use for communicating, for everyone to have a conversation while I'm doing. That's the whole point of doing it live, is so we can have a conversation. People ask questions, give input as I'm doing the demo, which makes it fun and lively. And so in the description for this YouTube video that you're watching, there's a link to get directly into the Slack channel if you have already been to it, and there's also a link to a form to fill out to request to join it. And of course I have to manually invite everybody, so if you request to join it while the broadcast is going, you probably won't get in that day. But so we have a little channel in there with hashtag Power Hour, and that's where we have the conversation during Power Hour. And basically today's topic is going to be Power Apps. We did a Power Apps Power Hour probably about a year ago, right when Power Apps came out. The product's a good bit different now. They've made a lot of great improvements. So this isn't going to be another just overview of what Power Apps is. This is going to be a little bit overview, but mostly just a deep dive into specifically working in Power Apps, because I feel like there are a lot of overview Power App sessions and videos and things like that all over the place at this point. But I wanted to go ahead and give you guys a feel for what it's like when you're building a SharePoint business solution in there, with how to do something specific. So in today's demo, we're going to be talking about galleries in Power Apps, which galleries are kind of like the same concept as subgrids, subtables, repeating tables, related lists. Historically in InfoPath, that's one of the things that people have liked doing in InfoPath form library forms, is repeating lists, but it's always been a challenge to be able to have repeating lists in a form and not have it buried inside of the form when you're using InfoPath. So it's usually suggested that you use your related list as a different list and have like a sort of like a relational database. But it's kind of awkward to try and build that in SharePoint, because there isn't really just a quick out of the box way to just throw that subtable onto a form. I have a blog post I wrote a couple of years ago about InfoPath and repeating tables another way. That blog post has got hundreds of comments. Everybody's trying that because everybody wants to do that. So this demo shows how to do that same concept in Power Apps. So you can have, in this example, we have customers and we have projects that are related. So any customer can have multiple projects, and we can also have any customer have multiple timesheet entries and all these different things in our site that can be related to a customer. So this can be, think about anything that you might have that's any kind of relational database sort of business solution you're doing in SharePoint. You guys feel to chime in and brainstorm in the chat window. What kind of things do you like to have that are related to each other to be able to show the related items on a page? Is it expense report and expense details? Is it projects and tasks associated with a project? Is it maybe a travel request with associated tasks with that travel request? You guys feel free to brainstorm and chime in with some kind of things that you like to do that you need to have that relational database concept in SharePoint. Because I get a lot of my audience, that's the kind of things they're doing, is building solutions like that. So with Power Apps, this is only in Office 365, but you can use on-premises data in it. So if you do have like a hybrid scenario and you do have Office 365 licenses, this is a potential product that you could use to marry together data that's on premises and in the cloud and in multiple places. All right, I'll go ahead and start off with a couple of demos, quick demos of solutions that I've built in Power Apps, and I'm going to start off by just showing a quick way that you can go into a list in SharePoint and turn it into a Power App list, a list that's got sort of Power Apps as its forms. So let's see, I'll go ahead and let's see, I've got a SharePoint list. Let me go ahead and share my screen. And you guys go ahead and use the hashtag #PowerHour channel in here to give me your feedback as we go. All right. And everybody say good morning and just say hello to everybody. Join in. Okay, so I'll go ahead. So I'm sharing my screen and I have just a SharePoint list here called travel requests. I have to be in the modern look to be able to do Power Apps. So if your list is not using the modern look, you're going to need to go change it to either default experience if your default in your farm is modern, or change it to new experience. So changing it to the default experience in mine does work. So you'll notice that in the modern experience, you're going to have a couple of fairly new buttons that might have appeared here. They may or may not show in your tenant, depending on if your admin has enabled the ability for you guys to use that. I'll go ahead and click Power Apps and click Create an App. I'll call it Travel App. And now, there are several different ways you can start from when you create a Power App. This is just one way, by starting from within a SharePoint list. And this is a really easy way because it builds the whole app for you and builds some screens for you. So even if you don't use this as your app, you can use it as a basis for learning and just digging around and seeing how it's built, and it just something to start with. All right, so I've got, okay, so here's the Power App it built for me. So immediately when I see a Power App in here, I can use this little play button to preview it to see what it's going to look like when people fill out or are using this Power App. So it starts off with just, first of all, it puts it in a mobile view by default. And then it starts off by just showing a list of the items in your SharePoint list. And then when you click on the arrow to go to any item, you're viewing it. It's like a display form. And then you can click to delete it, and you can also click to edit that item directly here. So probably I would want to have, some of these things that maybe I wouldn't want people to fill out, or I want to be hidden or read only. And from there, that's where I could go tweak things in my Power App. All right, so I'll go ahead and use this little back button navigation to get back to my main list. I can also search for things. So as soon as I type Hawaii, I don't even have to hit enter. It just automatically filters to show those. And then I can also sort these. This is just sorting by, it looks like it's sorting by something else, not the location that I'm going to. Yeah. So I'm not sure what it's sorting by, so that'd be another thing to dig in and try and fine tune. Then I can also fill out so this is a new item form. I can fill out a new travel request, and that puts the item directly in my SharePoint list when I do that. So that's really, and then I can refresh it if I want to get, if I think there are new items in SharePoint, I can refresh it and see the new items. But this is what you get out of the box. It's a form that shows you all the list of things, a form that's a display form, and then a form that is an edit form. So if I click plus and I'm creating a new one, or if I go view one and I click edit, the edit and the new form are really the exact same thing in the Power App. So I'll go ahead and X out of this little preview mode here. So just right off the bat, how do people use this Power App once I've created it on a list? So I'll go ahead and make sure and save this. I can give it a cute little icon if I want to, and give it a name, and I can click save. And I'm saving my Power App, so I've got a name for it and all that information. And then I can share it, which takes me to another tab, I think. And oh, well, I think it's logged in as a different account. It's trying to log me in as a different tenant on the screen. So every time I open up a new window, it's, you know, gets confused with my authentication, as you have to deal with in Office 365 everywhere. Let me go back to show you SharePoint. So let me close this. So I did save it, and we're going to show you what it looks like from within SharePoint once you've created it. So I've got a new view basically. So you would tend to, I would think that I would just go back to Power Apps like this. But if I go back to Power Apps, I'm creating another app. So you don't want to create another app. You want to go to your existing app. So I have Travel App here, and that is basically a new view in your list that it creates. So this is where it is. I have a button to make this view private if I don't want people to see it, maybe if I'm not ready for them to see it. Here's where I can directly go back in and edit it later. And if I just want to remove this view, I can do that. So this is what the end user would do. They would go to this view and they would click open. And then the Power App opens as it fills up the whole screen, and it has them filling out the Power App. I'm not sure why it's doing that today. It didn't do that yesterday. But it has them, like, it looks exactly like I just showed you with in the preview. So it fills up the whole screen. It shows exactly like I just showed you when I was previewing that app. So there are a lot of different things you can do around, we're not going to get too far into security and things like that in here, but we're going to go ahead and delve into that again, more specifically the galleries. So I'll go ahead and I clicked edit in Power Apps. I'm back in the edit mode here. And here I can see, one thing I like to see in here is I can see connections. And the connections are what I've created. Why is it doing that? Let me just sign in and see if it's just confused maybe. Why is it doing that? That's a new one. I don't know. I just did this demo last week and it wasn't trying to get me to do a trial or anything. So I'm not sure about that. All right. Connections. Connections are the same thing that you use, and see, it's logged me in as a different account. That's why it's confused about me needing a trial, because this whole browser window thinks that I'm logged in as a different in a different tenant. Even though I'm logged into my Wonderlara tenant and these other tabs, this particular tab keeps trying to log me into the other one. So let me just appease it here so we won't run into that anymore. Am I the only one? Do you guys have that issue where you maybe have multiple tenants that you work in, or customers and things like that, where you have your browser gets all confused about which tenant it's supposed to be using? Flow and Power Apps are really bad about that. So every time I go to like flow.microsoft.com, I usually double check my login at the top right and usually have to log out and log in, because it doesn't know, you know, what I'm logged in as on all the other tabs. Okay, so here's the travel app I just created. And here's a little bit, I'll show you a little bit more information about it so I can see who it's shared with. So the whole shared with org is user, and then Laura Rogers is the owner of the app. But then something important right here is the fact that it's got a web link when you're looking at the details of it. So as far as end users using this Power App and filling it out, you could always just grab this web link and use that maybe in a promoted links list on your site or somewhere easy and obvious that they can click on to say fill out a travel request or whatever they're going to do, instead of having them to go to the list, go to the view, click on the name of the view, click open, which is, you know, 4 clicks. That's a lot. All right, so there's your web link. It's going to be on the details tab when you're looking at the information about your app. Okay, so let's go look at a couple of apps that I've already created. I'll go back to the home of my Power Apps. I can also get to this from within my Office 365 admin. If I go to Office 365 admin, admin centers, I have Power Apps and Flow. They pretty much take me to they're tied together, so this screen looks very similar. I think it's the exact same screen that they take me to for both of these, but that's how another way that you could get in here to manage all of your apps. And then the connections that you have are these are things that I've authenticated to. These are all the different places that I can use all these different types of data I can use within my PowerApp. And so it makes all look like one big congruent app, but it could be data from all these different places: CRM, SharePoint, Salesforce, Google, MailChimp, RSS feeds, etc. It's even got Slack in here. So that's where the connections exist. Again, I'm not going to go through all the details about connections. I'm going to go ahead and go into my PowerApp. I'm going to demo a couple of other examples of this specific thing with the customers and projects, and then we'll dig into the galleries. So let's see. PowerApps is confused. Let me close a couple of other windows there. There we go. Okay, so I want to open my PowerApp that I've done recently. Let me go look at this one. Okay, this is the same list of customers and projects, but I've built it out and added a few more things. So let's talk about this. So first of all, and I spent a little bit more time making this one pretty. We'll go ahead and demo this. So this has my customers and some social things I can do. It looks a little weird because of my resolution right now, but this is also an app on my phone. It looks exactly like this when I pull it up using the PowerApps app just from the App Store, iOS App Store. It looks exactly like this on my phone. So I've got my list of customers. I can search them and click on them just like I showed you, and I can go. I always have my navigation. I can go back to the home screen. But when I click on a customer, then I've got, these are all the projects. So it tells me the name of the customer I just clicked on up here, and then the word projects. So like if I go back and click on AdventureWorks, it says AdventureWorks projects. So I have that as dynamic. And then I can go see these projects that the hours that each project is supposed to have is listed here. And then these hours used are actually a roll-up from within the timesheet, which is a separate SharePoint list. And it's actually doing a sum and showing me live the hours used compared to how many hours are slated for the project. I'll go back and look at Contoso. See, this one's doing well. So then I did some conditional formatting to show one red and one green. Notice when I hover over these, they kind of pop out like that. Also, I can go look at, I've got another SharePoint list. So I've got customers, projects, and timesheet, but I can go look at the time for any given project. And so now it's doing a filtered list of the timesheet for that one project, and it lists the project up here, and I can go edit any of these. So all these different things in here are different screens that I've created. So this is a form to fill out for new time entry. I've got the list of projects. I would probably want to have so here's the button to create a new project. I don't have that one connected to anything yet. But so those are all screens in PowerApps. So what I'm going to show you today is this concept of this list of things, which is a gallery. So this is a gallery of customers. I call it customer gallery. And this is a gallery of projects. And then of course if I go here, this is a gallery of timesheet entries. So that is their terminology for having a sub list or having a list of anything in a PowerApp is a gallery. All right, so let's go ahead and show. And so instead of doing everything with mobile app demos, I went ahead and I can go ahead and pull that up and just kind of show you what it looks like in my mobile app. It looks exactly like you see on the screen. But I wanted to show you an example of a full screen demo. So I created this one. So when you create it from within the SharePoint list like I did, and I went through that little wizard, it is only going to create it as mobile. But if you go just, what I did in this case is I opened up the PowerApps actual Windows application that I got from the App Store on my computer, on my Windows 10 computer. And I clicked to start from new blank template just as a tablet view. So the tablet is the size of this one. So this could be more like a full SharePoint solution that would fill up the whole page with all kinds of different things going on. And you could have dashboards that way. So when you go into PowerApps on your computer, it's got a lot of demo content, a lot of demo things that Microsoft has created. I highly encourage you to go look at those. They're much prettier and shinier than mine, and they have a lot of pretty buttons and images, and they're much more polished. But in this case, since I wanted to just kind of go over some some technicals about these concepts, I didn't want to spend a ton of time, trying to make it pretty. But I'll go ahead and pull that one up on my phone real quick. So this is what our app looks like that I'll be showing you, that I'm going to be digging into now. And it's just basically one screen right now. It's just customers listed down here, and it's got a little scroll bar. And as I click through each customer, I can see the details. This could be a full detail page with all kinds of information about that customer. And then I've got the associated projects get filtered quickly by that customer as I click through them. And you guys chime in and let me know if you have questions just as I'm demoing this stuff. So I'll go ahead and close my little preview and let's dig into the nitty-gritty. So I'm going to create a new screen. Instead of just starting with the one that I showed you, I'm going to create a new one. So I'll do new screen, and I can name them too. So by default, it's just screen 1 and screen 2. And these are going to be like views in InfoPath. So this is going to be the same concept. You've got the same set of data, but the screens are going to be just different ways to view it. Now I have a little quick way over here with this layout tab where I can pick kind of how I want this to look. Do I want it to be a list of things with pictures, or whatever, and I could quickly click one and it would fill it in for me, and then I'd have to point it to the right data. Or I can just take that and delete it, and I can just insert my own thing here. So I can insert a gallery. So that's what I'll start with, is insert a gallery. So when I first insert a gallery, this is just going to be a list of customers. So I could see that if I had, maybe some customers that I had each customer's logo or something in there to make them look nice, I could do one that has images in it. But in this case, it's just going to be words. So I'll just insert a vertical gallery. And these steps that I'm going through are what I went through in my in that blog post. So let me see. So here's the travel request. This is the app. So it looks really nice if you want people to be able to just fill out timesheets or travel requests and things like that just on their computer, on their phone while they're on their go. And you could even do fancy things like let them scan in receipts and all kinds of stuff like that. So as you can see, when it's on mobile, it looks exactly on my phone like it did on the screen in here. All right. Blake says, is there not a way to use the template that's automatically created from a SharePoint list and change it to a tablet view? Not that I know of, Blake. That would be nice. I haven't noticed a way to be able to do that. Nothing obvious. All right, when I insert a gallery on a page, it's just going to have all this fake data in it, but I need to point it to what data I want. Now, I've already created my data sources. These are my customers and my projects lists. If I have time, I might add a third one and show you how that works with a timesheet, but I wanted to try and focus on the gallery. So my gallery is my list of information. So for items up here, we have all these different properties we can choose from. Items is the default one it's going to show here. So I want to say I want the items to be my customers. So as soon as I start typing, it shows me customers as one of my options. And that's just the name over here of my data source. That's the name of my SharePoint list, customers. Jim says, how about security when using the mobile? Do they sign in with a SharePoint ID? Yes, that just uses your SharePoint credentials in the mobile app. Just like if you went to the SharePoint mobile app and you use your credentials. All right, and then I can resize this. This is pretty freeform. I can take it and move it around where I want, make it more narrow. And then, so I've got a few things. I've got kind of the way it looks and the way it works, and then I've got what do I want the data to be in here and what I want it to do. So first of all, I've got the gallery tab. So I can, one of the nice little things I can do is I can pick, make the template be a certain size or have a certain padding having to do with this whole template. I can change the layout just quickly to horizontal or vertical. And I need to drag these boxes and make it go the other way on the page. My transition is going to be as you hover down the page. I chose pop, so as I hover over each thing, it pops out. So that's what pop is, so I chose my transition of pop. And I can also say whether I want the scroll bar to show or not when people are looking at this gallery, so they could be able to scroll down. Show navigation, which is this little arrow that lets them go down. and then whether I want to snap to a grid, disabled, visible, border. So just some more visual stuff having to do with that. And then I've got, let's see, on the Home tab, just in general, it's a nice idea to get in the habit of naming things correctly. So when I put a gallery on this screen, it just defaults it to Gallery 1. I'm going to call it Customer Gallery. Actually, I'm going to put Customer Gallery 2 because on this other screen that I've already built out, that's one I called Customer Gallery. See, up here, I called that one Customer Gallery. So I just need to make that gallery name unique. So this is just Customer Gallery 2, just because I'm demoing this and building the same thing over again. All right, and then, so I've given it a good name because I'm going to use that in other places, so it's going to be important. I also might want to give your screens better names too. Now, when I'm in my gallery, notice that it's just put title as every field. So what I can do is you can't click in just any one of these items down the page. You have to, when you click in the first one is what lets you edit basically what happens in all these items and how they look. So click on the first item in the tab to configure. First of all, you're going to configure what fields are showing here. So World Wingtips, I want that first one to be, see it says title, that's the title field from SharePoint. That's fine, that's what I want that one to be. And then the next one, I might want that to be something else. I might want that to be whenever that item was created. And I might have, again, picture a bunch of other metadata that you might have having to do with that customer, and maybe showing just a couple of things here in that list of customers. So this third one that's got World Wingtips, I don't need that. I don't need to have 3 pieces of metadata. So I can just delete that. I just deleted that whole box, and now it's just giving me 2. All right, so now I've got this box, and I can actually watch this. When I drag this up, it narrows them all down. See, so as I do things in this top box, it mirrors the exact same thing all the way down the page to all of them. I might still want to make that a little more narrow. There we go. And then I can make this look a little nicer. Like I can go insert maybe a little shape in here. Let's see, what do I want to insert? I think I'll insert a button. I don't know. I really just want it to be, I don't want it to be like a button to press. I just want it to be like a little shape in here. So let me see. Insert text box button. Well, let me just show you some of the things that I can insert. Text box. That inserts, that could be another field. So if I insert a text box, it would prompt me to fill in that other field if I wanted to add one back in there. But another thing I can do would be to have a button that I want to do something. Text, which gives me different types of text input. Controls gives me a lot of different items. I can do buttons and drop downs, date pickers, etc. This one's just a view of all the customers, so I don't need to have much that they're going to be doing to interact with it right now. And then, of course, a gallery. I don't want to insert a form. I don't want to insert media, so I could have images and things or be able to capture things from my camera in PowerApps. Let me go ahead and let me see. Dun, dun, dun. I don't want an icon. I just want a shape. I could have sworn just shapes were one of the things that you could insert in here. It's a little weird. I don't see it anymore. Okay, well, here. I'll just go grab one from over here from my other form that I was doing. See, this is just a little blue box. I'm just going to copy it and paste it. Every now and then in here, you know, you'll find, just like in a lot of things in the cloud lately, you'll find things that move or get rearranged and who knows where they went, right? You guys experienced that? So I put a nice little pretty blue bar there, and now I kind of made it a little shorter, but I have a nice little delineator between them all. And I can also do a border around this whole thing. So I can say maybe I want a border of 1. So now I've got a border around my whole gallery. And if I select, this box, not the actual fields, but the whole box itself, then that's where I could do things that like that would happen around, whatever I'm selecting. So, all right. So I've got my data in here. I've got, showed you how to kind of rearrange it. You could add more fields in here. You could add buttons. Let me know if you have questions. And then that's just a gallery, and all this gallery is showing is the list of projects. So items, it's just customers. Also, you have the ability, if you'll look at my my little blog post I did, you'll have the ability to do some other things in here like sort it. So let's go ahead and add one thing. We'll just add sorting in here. For sorting, you have to do a little function. So I'll do sort by columns, like that. And I'm pretty sure is it case sensitive? Let me see. There we go. So if I just start typing sort by columns, it picks it. So as I'm building a function in here, as long as I know what the function is supposed to start with, then it'll kind of give me a hint as to what goes inside of that function, kind of like in Excel. And then I can say, okay, what table do I want to sort? That's going to be customers. That's my data, and remember I originally had the word customers in there. And then what column do I want to sort it by? Oops. That's going to be, lets me pick from my column, so I've only got 3 right here. And then what's the sort order, ascending or descending? So I'll do ascending and then close my parentheses. And then now I see that they're sorted alphabetically. Really nice, huh? Now I'll go ahead and skip to putting that list of projects on the form. Oh, Maroon says there are dynamic forms that will be rolling out quotes soon. Are you talking about in Power Apps, or are you talking about something else? All right, yeah, just let me know what you're referring to exactly. Are you talking about something in the context of what we're doing? Okay, so then I'm going to go ahead and show you, since this whole concept is about galleries and how to filter them, I'm going to skip over for now the part where it shows all the details. That's a form, so maybe we'll do forms in another Power Hour session, but I'll go ahead and put the other gallery in here of the projects. So I'll go insert and choose gallery. Okay, Maroon says in Power Apps. Well, what's different about these dynamic forms you're referring to that it's not already in there? Is it different than the forms they already have? Because they already have forms. So I don't know what you mean by dynamic forms. That'll be interesting. Okay, so I'll do another vertical gallery. And you could have, be creative. You could have one vertical, one horizontal, or something like that. But I'm not very creative, and I just want to show you guys the functionality in here. Okay, here's another gallery with a bunch of fake information in it. So I want this to be projects. So it gives me, kind of prompts me, projects. Projects is the name of my data source. That's my SharePoint list. And then I want to give it a good name. So instead of letting it be called Gallery 2, I'll let it be called Project Gallery 2. Again, since I already have another in this other screen that I demoed, I have one called Project Gallery. And then maybe I want to narrow this down a little bit. So in here, this is where I can have all the details about each project. So I've got the name of the project. These don't show in order. I'm not sure why. But I've got the name, the title of the project. And then it put the title as everything, but I want to change some of these to other things. So I can go change this to be maybe hours planned. And then this third one can be project start there. And then I'll want to have more information about what those fields are, because all it's showing me is the values. So I could just type the word hours in here inside of this, or I can make this look more like columns if I want to. So watch this. I'll take this gallery and move it down a little bit, and I could have the name of the project maybe a little bit smaller, like that. And then I could have, let me widen that. And I could have an hours column and then a date column. So watch this. I can take hours and move it over So this is, I wanted to show you the concept of having columns in here without feeling like you have to have them listed all down the page with all the fields one above, on top of the next one. So if I do it this way, then I'll be able to, let me move this way over so the project name can take up more space. Like that. And I can also make this text box have an auto height. So auto height is true, and that way it'll expand, it'll get longer. And then, see, narrow that down, and then I can have a nice pretty little, I'll take this little blue box and I'll copy it and just paste it. And then, ooh, I didn't copy and paste the blue box, I just copied and pasted the text, so I didn't want to do that. I just wanted to copy and paste the blue box. So let me move this text box out of the way. There we go. Take this blue box, copy, paste, and I'm going to create a nice little pretty blue box at the top of this as maybe some column headers. So that's where I could type project name, so I can insert another text. I just take this text box I have, copy and paste it. I can say project name, line it up. You can see how it could get time consuming, and the text is, I'll just say project, and then copy and paste that, and then say hours. So a lot of what I do in here is from seeing how it's done in existing apps, in Microsoft's little demo apps, and copying and pasting or just kind of using that to learn from. So I encourage you guys to do that. I'll just call that date. That's like the start date. I'll just make it short and put date. Okay, so this is a concept of having a table in here. And then I can also do like do a bottom border, maybe border thickness. Oh, that put my border thickness of the whole thing. So I can take another little just box like that and put it inside of here. There we go. And I could get creative with the colors, etc. Ooh, where did it go? It disappeared. There we go. All right. Kind of nice. Probably too much blue. Okay. Woohoo, columns. All right. Yeah. Let's see. I'm trying to see if you guys have any more questions. The form now is a single roll down. The new be responsive. Oh, okay. Ooh, nice. Good to know. All right. So now I want this whole gallery to be filtered to only show the ones for this project, right? So then that's where I have to do a filter. And this is another one of the things that I listed in that blog post. So I'll say items. I like the way it's got it bold. If it's something I've set or done something with, it's got it bolded in here. So I'll go ahead and do items, and then instead of just showing a list of all projects, I'm going to type filter. Oops, got to do it. It's case sensitive, filter. And then what am I filtering? I'm filtering projects. And then what's the logical test? So what's the filter that I'm doing? So I want the ID. So I have a lookup field in my projects list that looks up to my customer list. Let me show you that over in SharePoint real quick. I want to show you what it looks like in SharePoint so you'll get the full gist of kind of where this is coming from and what's it doing. All right. Here is, again, my list of customers. So when I'm doing things in my PowerApp, it's just writing directly to this list. In my projects, and then each project has just a lookup field to the customer. So it's called customer lookup, and that way that's how I'm associating each project with which customer it goes to. All right, so that's what's going on behind the scenes. So that lookup field is already in place. So that's what I'm going to be pointing to when I write this, the syntax of this that I'm about to write. Okay, so it's going to be filtered by projects where the customer lookup where the customer lookup dot, now important, this is important, lookup fields in SharePoint, the way they store the data, it's just by the ID of the item you're looking up to. So that's why we actually have to use the .id in here to point to that. You can't just put customer lookup, it has to be .id, and that's what will give you the correct filter. So .id equals, and then I have to tell it which item that I selected in the customer gallery, .selected .id. And again, this is all listed in my blog post. So now, whichever one I selected, it immediately shows the right one over here. So we'll go, I'll do a little preview of it. And so I've got Contoso, Flying High, blah, blah, blah. And now I can quickly click between my customers and see their projects. Okay, so I also might want to combine what I'm doing with this filter, though, with some of the other things that I need to do, like sort them. So some other things that we can do is we've got the filter in place, but remember on this other one we had it sorted as well. So to do all these multiple things in my gallery, I actually have to put functions inside of functions to do this. So another, and I'm going to show them to you separately so you can see what each one does. I already showed you the sort one. I'll show you the search one. So for the search one, you actually have to have a search box, and for the sort by, you could just hard code a sort value in there, or you could also have a sort button if you wanted them to be able to quickly do ascending and descending. What I'm going to do here is show you what that little search box looks like. And you might remember that you saw that whenever we quickly created the very first demo that we did. We quickly created a travel request little Power App, and it automatically had all these pretty little buttons at the top, like a search box and a sort box and refresh, all those buttons. So that is what we can do if we want to actually have them search for things. We need to add the search as a filter on the gallery so that when they type a word, it actually impacts what's showing in the gallery. So just sticking a text box and saying search on it doesn't really make it a search box in here. All right, so let's take this whole thing, let me select this and this. Well, it doesn't let me select both of them. Let's see, maybe it does. I'll take this whole thing, I'm going to move it down a little bit. So we could put a search box at the top of customers as well. I'm just going to show you how it works doing it here on top of my of this one. It doesn't let me, oh yeah, it does. Okay, there we go. Okay, that's awkward. Okay, I got them all. Okay, then we can go ahead and stick a search box in here. So insert. And I'm going to do I want them to be able to type into a text box, so text input, and make that the search box. And then we can put a cute little search icon next to it too. So for text, instead of it saying text input, we're going to make it say, let me see. Let me show you a few more details over here. So text input 1, when I have any of these controls selected in Power Apps, I have more advanced things I can do over here. So I have all my properties over here that I can pick from, but I also have them all listed here. So like the data default value says text input, but I could also do hint text. So search here or something like that could be my hint text, and then I could have a default value of nothing. And so look, see, doesn't that look nice? It's got like the little words great search here posted. And then I need to make this so that basically whatever word you type here is going to filter that box down there with it. Now, did I misspell search here? Yeah, I did. Search. I could also give my text input a better name other than just text input. So I want to maybe make a little more sense when I'm working with it. So I can go find the little property down here that lets me rename things. Dun, dun, dun. Where is that? Oh wait, no, here it is. So renaming things, remember? Renaming things is up here. So I'll call it search box. Call it text search box. Like that. And so now that has a name. And now I just need to make this gallery filter to whatever is in that name. Filter the title by whatever's in that name. So you're going to pick which field you want to filter by and then filter it. Okay. Any questions? Let me know. Okay, so the next thing is to add the search functionality in here. So I'll do, let's see, search here. Remember, it's case sensitive. So this is the thing that I'm searching through, this filtered list of projects. And then, let's see, text search box. See, I've got a nice name for it, so it makes sense. It's easy to find in here, right? So it is a little kind of OCD and meticulous to go naming everything in here, but it helps, it makes it a lot easier to be able to find what you're looking for when you're dealing with having to write functions. So I'm going to do, what am I searching? Text search box. What type of value is it? It's text, not hint text, but the text that they type in it. And then what am I sorting? What field am I searching? And it prompts me down here to pick which field I'm searching. So then I can close that. And look at that. Isn't that cool? So now we'll go test that, and I'll type internet. So I don't even have to have a button, a search button, to trigger the search. As soon as I start typing something, it narrows it down. Pretty nice. So it's very immediate. Now, I guess if you wanted to have a search box for, you could potentially have a search box for each column. You could actually have a sort button for each column too. That could be hairy, because if you had a sort button for each column, think of how many commands you would have to have in here to program what all the sort order needed to be. You'd have to have multiple ones of those sort by columns commands, right? So that could get kind of tricky. So just kind of keep in mind when you're building these what how complicated you really need to make it to be, because it is a little time consuming to, you know, drag all these little boxes around and change all the little colors and name all the controls, etc. So let's go ahead and stick a sort box on here. So I will insert, and I have all these nice little icons I can pick from. So I can pick one that has a nice little arrows up and down as a sort box, and I can take it and put it over here. So there's my sort box, and I need to make it do something. So I want my sort box to, first of all, I want it to have a name. I'll call it sort button. And then this is the one that I haven't done as much, but I want to, so I might be kind of fumbling around with this one. But I'll go ahead and say, when people click this, I want it to be able to toggle back and forth, because I want the value of it to make, basically whenever they click it, it toggles a value back and forth, which will make this sort basically up and down. So we'll go ahead and do the syntax of what this needs to look like to add the sort in here. So we've got the filter. First, we've just got the good old projects list. That's all we had in there originally, remember? And then we have the filter to filter it to just show the ones for that particular customer. And then on top of that, we added the search, so that when you use the search box, it uses whatever you're searching for. And then on top of that, we'll add the sort. So sort by columns, and then open parentheses, and then sort by columns, all of that. And then if there we go. We've got to use the right if, the one with the uppercase I. So basically, if it's going to look at how the value of sort descending and be able to toggle it back and forth. So that's why I'm doing an if statement in here. If sort one, comma, sort order. Let me see. Hold on. If sort. Okay, yes, sort descending. Okay, that's going to be the name of my button. Yep, sort button. Okay, sort button. If sort descending 1, sort button. So basically I'm looking at my blog post and how I wrote all this. Sort order dot order. It kind of, will populate things for you, but you still kind of have to know what you're starting to type. And you'll know whether you need to put a dot at the end of it, etc. Sort order, but it is case sensitive. Dot ascending. Oh my goodness. Okay, so sort by columns. And then open parentheses, search filter. I've got my projects and I've got my text search box. And then I've got my if. My whole if statement is in here. And then sort button, logical text. Okay, sort button. Do you guys kind of get the drift? It's kind of complicated. Yeah, I know. This is very devy. I agree. This is kind of hard to figure out. Like it takes a little bit to work through these. This is not InfoPath. This is not, just quickly clicking a button to say, let this button sort the values or let this button do a search. I mean, you have to write commands for a lot of things in here. Yeah, it's pretty funny. So my sort button is going to be my logical text, which is this little value right here needs to be my logical text as to what thing that I'm sorting. Sort descending 1. If sort, I must have left something out in here. Blah. Sort button equals true. Sort button equals true. Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't. If sort button equals true. If something, then sort it descending, otherwise sort ascending. So that's the part that I'm missing here. Yeah, that's, like I said, when I first put this button on the form, this is not something that I practiced ahead of time. So that one thing is I must have the syntax wrong for it. So I'll have to double check that. Sort order thing. Huh. If sort by columns project, if sort descending. Sort descending. I'm just going to put sort descending. Yeah, see, that's not like a thing. That's not a value. That's not a name of anything. Okay, well, if I figure out if something's wrong with this and I type something wrong in my blog post, I'll fix that because that's important to know, right? So let me take out the sort by columns thing. So we did the sort by columns successfully by itself over here. So it's just the toggling the sorting of columns that is the tricky part, right? Now all I have to do to figure this out though, let me go ahead and save this, is now to figure this out, all I need to do is go look at that app that I already created. So I need to go look at that travel app. Now if you ever need to look at 2 apps at the same time in here, like this one I have opened up in the client software, and then I could go open up another one in the web because it won't let you have more than one open in the client app at the same time, unfortunately. So once you have the client app, the Windows 10 app open, it doesn't let you have 2 of them open. So you could open up one in the web and one on the client, or 2 of them in the web, and be able to toggle back and forth. Because that's how I learned this stuff, is just by digging in and looking at these things to be able to tell how I need to do certain syntax. And Microsoft does have a help page that has some syntax of some of these things in it and has documentation. That it's powerapps.com or powerapps.microsoft.com where you can go look at that stuff. So see, I can see this is all the exact. Now all this one is missing that I had in my projects list that this concept doesn't exist in here is in my projects list. I'm filtering it by the project having that certain customer ID of the customer that I have selected. So this one has everything else in it. It has the sort by columns. It has the search, so it's because it's got the search box up here, and then it's got the sort order, etc. So let's go look at that sort button. Okay, look at that. See, that's what I'm missing. On select, update context. So I'll take that and copy it over. And I'll have to do that in my app. Let's see if I can just do that on the fly. On my button here, on select, update context, sort descending 1, and sort descending 1. Okay. And then that will make my syntax make much more sense, right? Yeah, Maroon's showing it to me. Yeah, did you pull that out of my blog post? Because that's what I was looking at in my blog post. I just didn't have the button I didn't have that value in the button for on select. So that's what I was missing in here. So that needs to be in place first. Sort by columns. And then at the very end down here, so sort of, a wrapper around this. And then which column is it going to be? It's going to be the title. And then that's going to be, I'm not just going to put ascending or descending. I'm going to put the, let it use that toggle button. So that's why I have to do an if statement. If sort descending 1. Sort descending 1, descending, ascending. That did not give me any errors. Let's see. Or did it? Oh, close parentheses. There we go. Aha. Okay, now let's try that out. The URL for my blog post. Are you able to go to wonderlaura.com and just look at the home page? Because it's the latest blog post in there. Okay. Toso. Ooh, look at that. It works. Yay. Okay. So it took me an hour, but I was able to get into sort of some nitty-gritty about galleries in here and a little bit about just getting around in here. So once you have your gallery, again, just sort of a recap, you have the ability to fine-tune some things up here in your gallery. To do some more advanced things, you can switch over from options over to advanced over here. So whatever you have selected, like I have the gallery selected here, this is where you can see all your properties and be able to really dig into every single tiny little facet of whatever property you have selected. And then as far as what shows in the gallery, you need to look at the items property here. And there's also an items property in here, same exact thing. These properties over here match with, they're the same properties that you'll see listed down the right side. And then you just need to write a function to make it show specifically what you want to see, or you could just type the name like I did at the very beginning, just the name of what the data source is, and that would be the easiest way. All right, thanks guys. Yeah, I had to repost the URL to my blog post for some reason right before we got started because WordPress had generated some weird different URL for it for some reason. I'm not sure why. It was just random. But now it looks like it's working fine. Everybody can get to it, right? Okay. I will switch back over. And let's see. Thanks, everybody. Let's see. You guys feel free to write suggestions just informally, just in Slack, if for other topics you want to do. But I don't have any topics for next week written down, and I'm not sure if I'm going to take that off as a vacation day now that I have my own company, iwmentor.com. I can take I haven't really planned my vacation, so I might take vacation, might not. I don't have a boss. But so I haven't decided if I'm going to be on vacation next week to do, or if I'm going to do Power Hour. But so I might skip a week. And so yeah, let me know just kind of what topics you might want to go over. We've got hundreds in there already, but they're always, could always dig in more nitty gritty into specific things in Power Apps or Flow, etc. All these new technologies, and it's always changing. So lots of new fun things to learn as we go, right? So again, wonderlaura.com is my blog. iwmentor.com is my SharePoint training company. And we have Power Hour every Wednesday at 11 Central. And you can go and subscribe to my newsletter to get notified about these and to get notified about training classes that are coming up and discounts and just that kind of fun news. And I hope you guys have some great holidays. And it's a weird week because Christmas is on Saturday, so the holidays are kind of, some people are taking them off this week and some people are taking off next week. But you guys have a great one, and thanks for coming. And half of you might be on vacation today, but appreciate it. Thanks. Yeah, thanks, guys. All right. I'm over and out. Bye. Let's see if I can get this thing turned off.